Hi, everyone. My name is Kyra Laster, and I'm one of the marketing interns here at Detroit Dance City Festival. Joining me today is Emma Kuchler, one of the other marketing interns, and today we will be interviewing Alexander Donez, who performed and choreographed for our Choreographer Showcase at this year's festival. Please enjoy this short clip from his work.
When are we supposed to be implementing change and taking action? And when are we supposed to be taking a step back and letting things do what they do and letting people be who they are? Uh, I know that the answer to that isn't so cut and dry. It's a lot of gray space, and I probably don't even think that there is an answer to it. But I love the idea of things being unplanned because for some odd reason, I'm in this pursuit of authenticity and what is genuine. Because especially in today's world, everything seems to be so highly curated and fabricated and intentional, which can be a good thing. Like that could be a very good thing. But then it takes away from the authenticity of it, or at least for me it does.
And so, Alex, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Alexander, and I was born and raised in Portland, Oregon. I started dancing around the age of like 5-ish, and then after graduating high school, I moved to New York. And then from there, I've just kind of bounced around into different cities, spent some time in Chicago, spent some time out in Detroit, hanging out with Art Lab and the festival. And now I'm currently based back in Portland, freelancing and traveling when I'm needed. And when I'm not needed, I go where I want to go. And if I don't want to go anywhere, then I just kind of drift around a little bit.
So,
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the piece that was performed during Choreographer Showcase, such as, the title, the concept?
Yeah. So the piece we performed at the showcase was titled Soothsayer Cloister. Soothsayer is a larger project that I started back in, well, I guess by the name of Soothsayer, that officially started in 2013. But it's basically like a string of projects prior and up until now that are all kind of tangential from the same thing. So instead, my process, instead of making like a new work every time, I like to kind of explore threads from one main kind of focus point, which is Soothsayer. And that whole project was inspired by Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy, and about it focuses on the journey of the pilgrim through hell, through purgatory, and up to paradise. Um, that's something that really struck me as like a beautiful metaphor and symbol for just like the human experience. Having to go through hell in order to understand what it is to be in paradise, all the while kind of existing in this purgatory realm, which is kind of what we're in right now. And then another inspiration for Soothsayer in general is what I call like four universal questions, which are: where did we come from? Where are we now? Where are we going? And what does it all mean, if it means anything at all? And so in all the different iterations of Soothsayer, we explore both of those things, the hero's journey, um, and then those four questions. And with Cloister in Detroit, uh, we utilized a fairly new format that I implemented into the project, where we utilize a lot of live speaking. So what we do is we sometimes it starts with a story, other times it starts with a suggested jump off point. For this particular iteration with Cloister, um, we showed up. There were 3 microphones, and I kind of just started to talk about whatever was on the top of my head. And from there, we have conversations. Those conversations are then interpreted through movement, um, live and in real time. So I would say the piece that we presented, the first 30 seconds of the two of them standing there and moving in unison, that was choreographed. Everything after that is completely unscripted and freeformed in the moment.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, that was kind of a lot to like spit out in one thing, but I really enjoy this format of using live vocals and using unchoreographed movement because um, I've been really just searching for like authenticity, both creatively and also just like in real life, you know? Like we live in a highly curated world, and even things that are presented as like in the moment, it's like very planned and set. And so um, this is just one way that we can like be true to that idea of being genuine and authentic in the moment. Um, and you know, I've definitely had iterations of the work where it just like falls flat, or it's just like not fun or engaging, or it just goes into a weird place. I think that just maintains the authenticity of it and still keeps true to what it's about, you know.
Definitely. And I'm curious because you said that this is kind of like a growing work, as in you're always exploring different aspects of it. How did the pandemic, COVID-19, kind of change that process, make it easier, more difficult, things like that?
Um, yeah, well, it's definitely changed a lot of things about what we do and in our area in the arts. For me specifically, it's interesting because uh, I usually work in very, very small circles, and oftentimes I'm working solo and individually. So, um, being distanced from people, being separated from people, that wasn't necessarily a big change for me. Uh, we did have a couple live shows that were scheduled this year that we had to cancel. Um, but in a way, like it was one of those things where at first I was like bummed out, but then I was also like really glad that they got canceled, because when I look back at like what we were working on and what we were like, you know, making, it was cool, but like it wasn't ready. It wasn't quite in a place where it's like, yeah, let's present this, you know. Um, and so for me, it kind of worked out, I guess. Not saying that all of this is a good thing, just saying that there was a silver lining in it. And I think too, uh, you know, I had started incorporating the live speaking about a year and a half ago, um, and utilizing the podcasting platform. So there's like a podcast attached to the Soothsayer project. Um, and so I had already started that, but this pandemic was a reminder of like, oh yeah, this is a very good avenue to be in, because um, you know, it to be an audible kind of thing, you don't have to be moving, you don't have to be on a stage, you don't have to be in rehearsals. um, you know, with this kind of a format, you're able to just continue to explore what it is you want to explore artistically. And the pandemic kind of reminded me of like the importance of having that avenue to kind of explore and utilize. um, so nothing necessarily like super bummer in relation to like artistic projects. But you know, I think just a lot of reminders. And I would also say that the being in this pandemic, like it really reminded me to pause and to take a step back and be like, okay, why am I doing all this stuff that I'm doing? Is it really necessary? Um, you know, where can I do things better? How can I like cut back? Um, so it's been like very reflective and very uh, reminding, I guess is the word. So that's kind of been my experience thus far. Uh, hopefully, hopefully it doesn't continue on too much longer.
Yeah. So I know you participated in DDCF before,
Mhm.
in the live version though. So how would you compare it, the virtual to your past experiences?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's almost like a completely different festival, and not in a bad way necessarily. You know, like when you have the live performance and the opportunity to be there in person with everyone, you know, there's that kind of connection and that kind of interaction you get. And then on the performance side, you know, obviously you feed off of that live energy and that presence of an audience. Um, you know, whereas the digital format, uh, performing in an empty theater was totally different, but also just as magical and like just as interesting and fulfilling, just in a different way. And you know, I had mentioned to Jory too that like having the festival in a digital format like this, it makes it more accessible in a way, because you know, as I've mentioned before to her, like it allows people to tune in on their own time in their own space. someone who might not be comfortable going to the theater for whatever reason, but maybe they're more comfortable at home and they can participate. Um, so I think that it was definitely a different kind of festival this year for sure. But there were a lot of really good positives I thought that came out of it. And also the fact that everything is just kind of automatically archived digitally. So you can like go back to the YouTube page and watch it again if you want to watch it. You know, or I have a lot of friends and family that live here on the West Coast. And so, you know, they wouldn't have the opportunity to fly out to Detroit to see anything live. And so for them to be able to see the festival in that kind of a format is also really, really accessible, really good, really positive. Um, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like that really connects to what you were saying earlier about how even though this pandemic is terrible, there are some silver linings because really,
Mhm.
since we at the beginning we were thinking, how are we going to continue showing work to live audiences? And it is possible, and even it's even more possible than it was before in a way. Um,
Mhm.
a really cool thing to come out of all of this for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like it definitely comes also from a place of privilege, being able to like have the opportunity to step back and reevaluate. I know not everyone gets that opportunity. And so like I'm very lucky and very fortunate that I get to do that. So I am able to kind of see the silver lining of it. Still a really horrible thing to be happening and, you know, shouldn't be happening, but here we are and, you know, we have to figure out how to adapt to it. So,
Absolutely. Is there anything else you would like to share with us? Experiences, comments, anything of the sort? It's
um,
okay.
I mean, I when I first came out to Detroit and Jory was talking about like, I want to do this festival, I was like, this is great. Like, let's make it happen. And just to see all the different ways it's evolved over the years, I just think it's so cool. And it's such a testament to the city. You know, I've always said that Detroit gets such a bad rap, and I'm not sure why. I mean, I know why, but the people that kind of talk poorly about the city have either never been there or aren't from there or have no plans of visiting. And so it's like when you get to be part of the Detroit community and interact and get to meet people, it's just like this it's this really cool environment. And you know, I think the festival is a great thing. I think it's a really positive experience. And I'm really excited to see how it continues to grow and evolve and change. And um, you know, hopefully next season we can have the digital format and the live format. But you know, um, I'm just very thankful that I got to be part of it again this year, and you know, I'm excited to see where it goes from here.
Absolutely. Well, we were happy to have you. Kyra, do you have any other questions?
No, I don't.
Very awesome. Well, thank you so much, Alexander, for joining us here today. Everyone should make sure they head over to DetroitDanceCityFestival.com, where you will be able to rewatch Alexander's work along with all of the other amazing performances, classes, and workshops that happened during our 2020 virtual Detroit Dance City Festival. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you soon.